Please join us in welcoming Senior Director and Global Head of Accommodation Segments at Booking.com, Eric Bergaglia, in discussion with Skift Executive Editor and Founding Editor, Dennis Schaal.
Eric.
Yes.
Booking.yeah.
Yeah, of course.
That wasn't my best question.
I like the intro.
Okay,
Yes.
cool. What does that fancy title mean? Global Head of Accommodation Segments.
Yes, it's. I know. I thought it sounded nice, so I put that here. But so Booking.com for 25 years have been growing through couples going through Barcelona for a long weekend in a hotel, right? But if you were a family wanting to rent a vacation rental for 2 weeks, wasn't necessarily optimized. So alternative accommodations, families, long stays, extended stays are 3 key segments that fall into my scope, accommodation segments. Alternative accommodations, short-term rentals, vacation rental, whatever you want to call it, are the main one in that bucket. That's the fancy title.
When are you going to stop calling it alternative accommodations?
I don't know. I think depends on the audience. I think from a traveler perspective, it's still an alternative accommodation. Many customers come and they don't necessarily know what they want to book. So for them, or maybe they have a bias towards hotel on the platform, and everything else is an alternative accommodation. So I think maybe that's where it is. But I promise next year, same time, I will stop calling it that.
We'll have a new one.
Yes.
For years and years, generations of Booking Holdings CEOs have told me that as they were getting into short-term rentals, the key differentiator with Booking.com was instant booking. That's what travelers want.
Yes.
And in the old days, HomeAway, Vrbo, they had requests to book. They didn't have all instant booking. Now you're doing something different. Tell us about it.
Yes. We're not doing that anymore. No, so after 25 years, indeed, we piloted and started scaling request to book as an option for hosts to list. Maybe let me give you the context for this, because indeed it sounds like a big thing. It is a bit as well. A lot of hosts over the past few years came to us saying, I would love to start listing on Booking.com, but I'm not necessarily sure I'm comfortable yet with the instant book model that you have.
Right.
And we kept getting that message loud and clear again and again. At the same time, we saw that supply that we are not getting because of this was the type of supply that our travelers wanted to book on our platform. So because we're also growing our commitment to growing in that space and the home space, we decided to give it a shot. And so even though we still believe that instant book is the best model for the travelers, we have started piloting in the US, France, and Australia request to book for new individual hosts joining the platform. And we started scaling this year to other regions, and we're working on taking that also to the connectivity side of this. So the idea is also to try to make sure that hosts can try the platform, see that Booking.com is a good platform for them, and as they embark on that journey with us, hopefully they will transition to instant book.
How do you make sure that guests don't get discriminated against? They have an ethnic sounding name, whatever.
Yeah. The good thing with being a second mover in that space is that we can learn from mistakes of the past. And why do people want request to book? It's to be in control and to get some reassurance that they know who is going to stay home. So they want to understand if it's 2 adults and 2 kids or 1 person staying. They don't care if it's Eric Bergaglia with an Italian name and actually French, right? It's not relevant. So because of this, we're not sharing any name. So when you make a request, we're going to share that it's a 2 adults request, and we're not going to share any more information that could allow the host to identify who you are. And we're going to share behavioral information about never been a no-show, it's a genius customer, blah, 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 blah. Only information that will tell the host, don't be scared. It's a good guest that has been booking with us for a long time. They even booked at your property before. Maybe this is the kind of information will surface.
Right.
And that's it. I think that's the first mechanism. And of course, there's also a strong non-discrimination policy that we put together with a few pillars. Very clearly articulated. So when the host is going to accept the request, they will see this and the fact that we won't tolerate any discrimination, otherwise we'll just remove the listing. And there's obviously a lot of other controls on top of that.
Nice. So, this session is billed as building trust in rentals. So recently there was an incident in Positano, Italy, where a TikTok influencer, Alex Earl, went with 10 of her best friends and they booked a villa on Booking.com, and it didn't exist. So, if you book a hotel, it usually exists. So
like I said,
what's the deal?
So first thing, after investigation, yeah, you can laugh. After investigation, it's not actually on Booking.com. It was a copycat site of Booking.com. So we requested a takedown of the site. So it wasn't booked on Booking.com. If you want to book on Booking.com, advice, get the app. It's easier, official app. That was a different
some kind
type
of
of
clone
incident.
site, or
Yes, indeed. But no, I think these type of things have happened once or twice, every now and then. But I think probably when you look at the trust, building trust for rentals, I think platforms overall are doing a lot to prevent this. So I think this one, again, let's put it aside. It was not even on Booking.com, but all the platform, Airbnb, Vrbo, Booking.com, everybody has a lot of procedures in place from the moment a host is starting the registration process, the moment they go live, to make sure that through machine learning, AI, etc., verification of email, phone number, location, etc., we prevent properties like this to end up on the site.
Right.
Yeah.
You should sue the damn press for slander.
Yes, let's talk after.
Tell me about the Smart Flex program. You were telling me about this before. It sounds pretty interesting.
Smart Flex. So I think for setting that in the context of the demand right now, we know that coming out of the pandemic, flexibility is obviously one of the key things on travelers' mind. More than 70% of travelers surveyed said that they just want to be able to cancel at any time, especially in the current context. They want to make sure that if they make a booking, they can cancel until the last minute and they won't lose a dime. So with that in mind, with flexibility also being like Instant Book, one of the key selling points of value proposition of Booking.com, we try to see how we can make more properties flexible. And for this, we created the Smart Flex program. So basically what it does is hosts can enroll into this. And what we'll do is, through machine learning models, we'll be able to predict when it makes sense to try to make a non-refundable property refundable, fully refundable, and free cancellation. And based on this, then we can try to increase conversion. So 3% conversion on average lift for all the properties who are opting in for this. That's a way to continue to add more flexibility for the travelers and bring more bookings through also some risk that is taken by Booking.com in that case.
So how does Booking.com take the risk?
On that one, so we have our models, and we will, assuming you want to book something, we think that Dennis will be able to book this and won't cancel. Perfect. If that's happening, that's great for you. If you cancel, what will happen is we'll try to resell it. If we can, that's great. If we can't, we will pay the host anyway.
Right.
Like if the booking had happened. Yep.
And you're getting decent uptake from the hosts?
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So price transparency in Europe, you have to show the total price.
Yes.
That's the regulation. In the U.S., I saw you show the price, but you exclude. You show the price in bold, and then in smaller writing,
the taxes
and cleaning fee, right?
A cleaning fee is included.
Okay.
Is included in the price. So
right.
On price transparency is part of the key principles that for many years now we've been trying to have in our pricing strategy on Booking.com.
Right.
So it's not just because it's there in Europe for regulatory reasons. Globally, a cleaning fee, any other type of fee will be baked into this. There's no hidden fee, no booker fee as well. So no service fee of any kind that we add on top like other platforms. So what you see is, in most cases, the price you're going to pay. And if there's additional local taxes that add to that, it will be from the first time you see the property, you will see a message that says, this percentage of tax applies on top of this. So It's so price transparency is something that we've been very, very passionate about.
So is it exactly the way that you present it in Europe and the U.S.? Is that the same?
The difference is the tax piece in the U.S.
Okay.
Yes, that is mentioned below. In Europe, you have the full price.
I'm wondering if you see. I mean, obviously, in the U.S., you could do it like you do it in Europe. I'm wondering if you see a difference in consumer behavior in terms of how they convert with the two different models.
So that's out of my immediate accommodation segment scope. But now I know that there's been tests in the past at conversion for this. And if memory serves, conversion was a bit lower at the time because in the US, customers are used to see the price before taxes.
Right.
So this is one of the things that in the past also was a reason not necessarily to go with this. It's been revised. I don't know if maybe there will be other things coming on this, but at least there's never been a lot of, let's say, concerns about the transparency on booking because of this element on the tax side.
Don't forget to put your questions in the app if you have some, and enjoy asking them. Talk about the U.S. What kind of inroads are you making in the U.S.? And has your strategy changed in recent years? Are you putting more resources? What's going on?
So, good question. So two things. There's the US as Booking.com and the US for short-term rentals, alternative accommodations. In the US is one of the 2-3 big company priorities. Short-term rentals is another one. In the US, we've been investing massively. We've probably seen for the past 2 years investments in advertising with the Super Bowl. We are sponsoring the Major League Baseball.
Right.
A lot of other investments in terms of marketing. So things that partners are asking.
Not PGA golf?
Sorry?
Not PGA golf?
No.
Okay.
No. No, so a lot of investment that for many years we heard partners say, okay, what are you doing in the US? Are you serious about the US? So this is happening. A lot of other investments in product, indeed. Some people from our US teams are in the room right now. They're working only on growing the US across everything, hotels, chains, independent hotels, home, etc. So that's a commitment we have, and we're growing fast in that space. Next to that, obviously, growing in our short-term rental business means growing in the US.
Right.
We're trying to work on this, on top of this, on specific things for the US. For example, a lot of the payment improvements that we launched last year and that accelerating growth in the US for property management companies, and a lot of other things in terms of conversion improvements, liability insurance, request to book. A lot of our product developments are US first.
Right.
And start in the US and are rolled out elsewhere after.
I ran into a payments issue. I booked a condo hotel in San Juan on Booking.com, and driving to the condo, I get a message, your credit card was rejected. Okay, so I call, and there's nothing wrong with my credit card, and I used it 10 minutes later to book an Airbnb. But it was the host, maybe the host's Wi-Fi wasn't working, but Booking.com said, oh, there's nothing we can do. The host said, oh, I can't do anything. So it was an example of the need for payment system reform.
Yes. Yeah.
Is your strategy in the U.S. changing? I mean, you're putting more resources into advertising. You were, for a long time, you were really focusing on property managers. That was...
So the strategy that we have in the home space has been evolving, and it's been evolving including for the US. So what I mean by that is when you look at on the supply side first, we have 3 categories. You have the occasional host, one listing, every now and then renting the place. You have the semi-professionals, 2 to 20 listings, and then the more professional from 20 and above. I think it's more or less the type of thing that you had on the graph in the research session this morning. Historically, we're coming more from the property management company, connected partners type of ecosystem. We're continuing to grow and accelerate growth in this, but we're also, over the years, we've been developing new things in terms of product, as well as other type of investments to accelerate supply growth also across the other aspects of all the other categories.
Right.
I think this is one of the things that happened 3.5 years ago, where we really moved from the home space being a focus area, to a strategic focus, to a priority for the company. And now, obviously, a lot of investment in this. So just looking at last year, we launched liability insurance, we launched damage policy, request to book, payment in the US, lots of other things in terms of conversion improvements for the guests, new tooling for the partners, etc. We could have made a summer or winter release about it. We didn't. But a lot of things happened that are a testament to that new commitment to changing, to growing home. So it's a new strategy, and obviously, as mentioned, first bias towards the US.
Right. Yeah. And that's non-urban locations?
Everywhere.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes, yes.
Audience question, what is the #1 way to boost your rankings on Booking.com?
AI was the topic of one of the topics of the day. So rankings goes with AI, so it's complicated. How to boost your number one way to boost your rankings on Booking.com? Different things comes into play. So customers will search for, the majority of customers, they want to go to, I don't know, London, right? That they don't necessarily say, I want to go to an apartment in London. The majority of customers, they still don't have a clear intent for home or hotel or something else. So keep that in mind. Then you will be competing with a lot of other type of accommodations. Make sure that you have all your content right, the content is right, that the prices are good as well, and competitive. Adopt Genius if you have the opportunity to adopt Genius, because it's going to impact the ranking as well. And a lot of other things come into play in terms of quality of the inventory, et cetera, no restrictions. So as soon as the host is, the guest is starting to filter out by price, Genius, or other type of things, make sure that you have in mind who you want to target and what are the restrictions that you should or should not put into place. So there's no one silver bullet to end up at the top of the ranking, but it's a combination of things.
Would you ever have or do you have the accelerator program for short-term rentals in terms of the hotels can pay to move up the listing chain?
So as part of the evolving strategy that we had, there's a lot of things that we've done. One that was very impactful was to try to import review scores from trusted sources from outside. We know that this is one of the key things in terms of performance on Booking.com. Mm-hmm. If you get a review score, instantly your performance will go up. So because it takes a bit of time, you need to get bookings, reviews, etc., and then a review score. We're importing the review score and making sure that from the get-go, you have that opportunity to already capture a bigger audience. That's part of a lot of initiative that we put together as part of an accelerator program. So we have a new to Booking.com badge that goes with that score. A lot of ranking interventions that we're doing as well to make sure that if you have a new property, it's going higher in the ranking, etc. So it's there, and we're starting to also package it, and we'll go to market with something a bit more clear for everyone.
And you also, I don't know how recent it is, you introduced quality ratings?
It was a while ago, back in 2019 at VRMA in New Orleans, but it's been a journey. So for those who are not familiar with that, in 2018, we're looking at vacation rentals and how customers are also searching on Booking.com. And one of the main filters that is applied is star rating. So from the moment you were ticking the star rating box, no more vacation rentals would show up in the ranking. So obviously not the best level playing field for vacation rentals. There was also no clear star rating system for vacation rental globally that could allow you to compare the quality across all the countries. So what we did is work on a machine learning model that would try to create a star rating from 1 to 5 star for vacation rentals. We launched that for all the entire places on the platform, and it's been evolving over time. So it's looking at 400 plus different elements, and trying to figure out what is based on the customer behavior, the other properties in the area, a lot of different things, what is the right ranking, rating. And also over the years, what we've done is make sure that we also have the advice that comes with how you're going to actually be able to increase that rating. So for example, if you're missing, microwave and coffee machine to be able to move to the next level,
right.
This is the advice that you will get. So that's the quality rating piece that we implemented also to bring trust in rental. Because if you've been booking hotels and you're used to booking 3-4 stars hotel, but you don't know what is the predictability of the experience, being able to say, well, it's a 4-star property. So if you're used to book 4-star hotels, now we think, based on those things, that this is the same type of thing. And this allowed not only to surface more homes, but also to bring trust in the fact that vacation rentals can be a bit more predictable than what people thought.
Your competitor Vrbo is introducing a loyalty program.
Yes.
You mentioned your Genius program.
Yes.
Do you think Vrbo's program is going to be a flop in Europe? Because in Europe, there isn't a big legacy of loyalty programs.
No, I don't know. I think let's see how it's doing in the US in July and learnings from there. No, I think it really depends how you want to approach things. I think it's there's not one way to do a loyalty program. I think there's a loyalty strategy there, there's a loyalty program on top. In Europe, it's not necessarily as heavy on the points piece that is maybe in the US. I think the Genius program is more about instant thing that you can give back to your customers. The credit, earn and burn credits or points, etc. That's something that we do outside of Genius as part of just deals, promotions, etc. So yeah.
Here's a nice audience question. Does Booking.com penalize rankings for sharing inventory listings on other sites?
No. Good question, Anonymous. That's.
Thank you, Anonymous.
No, we don't penalize ranking for sharing inventory listings on other sites. No.
What region globally are you seeing the highest growth in bookings? Are they short-term or longer-term stays?
Region globally. So the good thing is that we've been seeing growth overall. If you just look at percentage points, APAC is a region that is obviously coming back last from the pandemic, so faster growth. We see Europe still very strong and US as well. So actually we're lucky enough to have seen a lot of growth in the past 18 months in home. Last year we had our best year ever, 56% growth year on year last year in the home space. Q1 was our best Q1 ever, and we see that the trajectory is good. We've been gaining share and from a demand perspective, supply perspective across the globe. So we're quite confident on that front. Yeah.
There's been lots of talk about the new regulations in New York City.
Yes.
Are you seeing thousands and thousands of hosts getting registered on your platform?
Every day, yes. But
no, registered.
Registered.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean
with the city.
Oh, yeah. No, not that much being registered right now. But this is something that is.
It's a trickle, right?
It's in progress, right? So I think it was announced today that the deadline of July is moving to September. It's our teams are working and talking daily with the city to try to also see what is the right way to implement that. I think it's obviously. I think we talked a lot about this today. You talked a lot about this as well in articles. I think there's it's not an easy one. I think from a registration perspective, I think some others have mentioned that there's little number of registration happening, and we see that as well. But beyond this, I think there's still a lot of things to iron out in terms of, are people aware of what they have to do? We make it really easy for them to know where they should register, and after that also as a platform, is the timeline and all the information that has been provided, is it allowing us to actually be able to start implementing things in the right way, etc.
We'll have to see how it plays out.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Oh, thanks.